They look at you and whisper, "Gangster." Not because you broke the rules, but because you never needed them to define you. While they were out there losing control, drowning in their own noise, you stayed quiet, composed, dangerous in a different way. See, real power doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for attention. It walks into chaos with a calm mind and walks out untouched. People mistake silence for weakness, kindness for softness, but they don't realize it takes far more strength to stay classy when the world around you is falling apart. They lost themselves chasing validation, reacting to every insult, every setback, while you mastered the art of control, not control over others, but over your own mind, your own reactions, your own path. And that's what scares them the most. Silence is power, but not the kind people understand at first glance. Most people think power is loud, aggressive, impossible to ignore. They think it lives in shouting matches, in proving points, in dominating every room they walk into. But real power doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't chase attention. It doesn't beg to be heard. It observes. It listens. It waits. When you stay silent, people start revealing themselves. They fill the space with their own insecurities, their own fears, their need to be validated. They talk too much, react too fast, expose too much, and all you have to do is stand there, calm, composed, watching everything unfold. Silence gives you information, and information is control. There's something unsettling about a person who doesn't react the way you expect. No anger when provoked, no desperation to defend, no rush to explain. It confuses people. It makes them question themselves. Because they're used to noise. They're used to chaos. They're used to pulling others into their storm. But when they can't reach you, when your silence blocks their access, they start losing their grip. Silence is not weakness. It's restraint. It's knowing that not every battle deserves your energy. Most arguments are traps designed to pull you down to a level where emotions take over and logic disappears. The loudest person in the room often isn't the strongest, just the most desperate to be seen. And desperation is easy to manipulate. When you choose silence, you're choosing control over your emotions. You're refusing to give others the satisfaction of seeing you break, seeing you react, seeing you lose your balance. You're telling the world that your peace is not for sale, not for negotiation, not for anyone to disturb. That kind of control is rare, and anything rare becomes powerful. People will test you. They'll push boundaries, throw words at you, try to provoke something, anything. They'll mistake your silence for ignorance, for fear, for weakness. Let them. Because while they're busy underestimating you, you're learning everything about them. Their triggers, their patterns, their intentions. And once you understand someone completely, you don't need to fight them to win. There's also a discipline in silence that most people can't handle. It's easy to react. It's easy to speak out of anger, to defend your ego, to prove you're right. But it takes strength to pause, to hold back, to let the moment pass without giving in to impulse. That pause is where power lies. That moment where you decide not to become like them. Silence also protects you. Words can be used against you, twisted, misunderstood, taken out of context. But silence leaves no evidence. It gives nothing away. It keeps your intentions hidden, your next move unpredictable, and unpredictability makes people uncomfortable. They don't know how to deal with someone they can't read. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes a weapon, not to harm, but to dominate without effort, to stand in the middle of chaos and remain untouched, to let others exhaust themselves while you conserve your energy. Because at the end of the day, the one who controls their mind controls everything around them. And most people never learn that. Control over reaction is where the real game begins. Anyone can act on impulse. Anyone can let anger take the wheel. Let emotions explode. Let a single moment define everything that follows. That's easy. That's instinct. That's what most people do without even thinking. But control is deliberate. It's calculated. It's something you build when you stop letting the world decide how you feel. Every situation throws something at you. Disrespect, failure, pressure, chaos. None of it asks for your permission. It just arrives uninvited, waiting to see how you'll respond. And most people respond exactly the way they're expected to. They get angry when insulted, defensive when challenged, emotional when things don't go their way. Predictable. Easy to read. Easy to control. But when you control your reaction, you break that pattern. You become unpredictable in a way that makes people uncomfortable. They expect fire, and you give them calm. They expect noise, and you give them silence. They expect you to fall apart, and you stand there steady, untouched. That's when the balance shifts. Reaction is where people lose themselves. One careless word, one emotional outburst, and suddenly they've given away their power. Because the moment you react without thinking, you're no longer in control. You've handed that control to whatever triggered you. A person, a situation, a memory. Something else is now deciding your behavior. Control means creating distance between what happens and how you respond. That small gap, that pause, that's where strength lives. It's the difference between reacting like everyone else and responding like someone who understands the bigger picture. In that moment, you get to choose. Not based on emotion, not based on ego, but based on intention. People will try to provoke you, not always openly. Sometimes it's subtle, a tone, a look, a comment designed to get under your skin. They want a reaction because your reaction gives them power. It confirms they can affect you, that they can shake you, that they can pull you into their chaos. And once they know that, they'll keep doing it. But when there's no reaction, when there's nothing for them to grab onto, they start losing their advantage. They push harder, try different angles, get more desperate. And the more they try, the more they expose themselves. All while you remain still, watching, understanding, staying in control of every move you make. Control over reaction doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you feel everything and still choose your response carefully. It means anger doesn't control your words, frustration doesn't control your actions, and pressure doesn't control your decisions. You acknowledge the emotion, but you don't become it. There's also a certain discipline in not needing to prove yourself in every moment. Most reactions come from ego, the need to be right, to be respected, to not let anything slide. But not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every situation needs your energy. Knowing when to step back is just as powerful as knowing when to step forward. When you master your reactions, you become harder to manipulate. People can't predict you, can't push you into corners, can't force you into decisions you didn't choose. You move on your terms, not theirs. You stay grounded, while everything around you tries to pull you off balance. And that's where control turns into power. Class over chaos is a choice most people don't even realize they're making. They think chaos just happens, like it's something external, something unavoidable. But chaos isn't just noise and conflict around you. It's how you respond to it, how quickly you let it pull you in, how easily you become a part of it. People love chaos more than they admit. It gives them an excuse to lose control, to act without thinking, to justify behavior they wouldn't own in calmer moments. Raised voices, impulsive decisions, reckless words. It all feels powerful in the moment. It feels like dominance, like strength. But it's nothing more than a lack of discipline dressed up as confidence. Class is different. Class is quiet, controlled, intentional. It doesn't rush to prove anything. It doesn't need to win every argument or have the last word. It understands that not every situation is worth engaging in. While chaos demands attention, class commands respect without asking for it. When everything around you starts to fall apart, that's when your real nature shows. Anyone can stay composed when things are easy. Anyone can look put together when there's no pressure. But when tension rises, when people start losing control, when emotions take over, that's when most people reveal how fragile they really are. They snap. They react. They say things they can't take back. They burn bridges in moments that didn't deserve that kind of destruction. And later, when everything settles, they're left dealing with consequences they created in seconds. That's chaos. Fast, loud, and careless. Class moves differently. It slows things down. It creates space where others create conflict. It chooses words carefully, or sometimes chooses not to speak at all. It understands that strength isn't about overpowering a moment, but about mastering it. It doesn't feed into negativity, doesn't mirror disrespect, doesn't lower itself to match the environment. There's something unsettling about someone who refuses to engage in chaos. People expect you to react the same way they do. They expect anger to be met with anger, disrespect to be met with something even harsher. That's the pattern they're used to. But when you break that pattern, when you respond with composure instead of aggression, it throws them off balance. They don't know how to deal with it, because chaos only survives when it's shared. It needs participation. It needs energy from both sides. And when you refuse to give that energy, it starts to collapse on its own. The noise fades, the tension loses its grip, and suddenly the situation isn't as powerful as it seemed. Choosing class doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're in control of yourself at a level most people never reach. It means you're not easily influenced by the environment, not easily dragged into situations that don't serve you. You move with intention, not reaction. You act with purpose, not impulse. There's also a long-term advantage to this. Chaos burns fast. It might win moments, but it loses respect over time. People remember the outbursts, the instability, the lack of control. But class builds something stronger. It builds trust, respect, and a reputation that doesn't need to be defended constantly. In the end, chaos is loud but temporary. Class is quiet but lasting. One destroys in seconds, the other builds over time. And the people who understand this don't waste their energy trying to outdo the chaos around them. They simply rise above it. Discipline beats impulse, but most people never stay around long enough to see it happen. They live in the moment, driven by whatever feels right now. If it's easy, they do it. If it's hard, they avoid it. If it feels good, they chase it. If it hurts, they run from it. That's how impulse works. Quick decisions, no patience, no long-term vision. It feels powerful in the moment, but it leaves damage behind. Impulse is loud. It demands immediate action. It tells you to speak before thinking, to act before understanding, to chase results without building a foundation. It convinces you that now is all that matters. And for a while it looks like confidence. It looks like boldness. But underneath it's unstable. It collapses the moment pressure increases. Discipline is the opposite. It's quiet, repetitive, controlled. It doesn't care about how something feels in the moment. It focuses on what matters in the long run. It shows up when motivation disappears, when energy is low, when there's no reward waiting at the end of the day. That's what makes it powerful. It doesn't depend on mood. Most people struggle with discipline because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to face things you'd rather avoid. It requires consistency when nothing exciting is happening. It demands effort without applause, progress without recognition. There's no instant gratification, no quick validation, just slow, steady movement forward while everything around you tries to distract you. Impulse offers shortcuts. It promises fast results, easy wins, immediate satisfaction, and people fall for it over and over again. They start something strong, full of energy, full of excitement. But the moment that energy fades, so do they. They quit, switch directions, look for something new that feels easier. They repeat the cycle without realizing they're stuck in it. Discipline breaks that cycle. It doesn't allow you to stop just because it's inconvenient. It doesn't let emotions decide whether you continue or not. It creates structure where there would normally be chaos. It turns actions into habits and habits into results. Not overnight, not instantly, but inevitably. There's a certain control that comes with discipline that most people underestimate. It's not just about what you do. It's about what you don't do. The things you avoid, the temptations you ignore, the distractions you shut out. That's where real strength shows up, because saying yes is easy. Saying no requires awareness, restraint, and clarity. People driven by impulse are easy to read. They follow patterns based on emotion. You can predict when they'll quit, when they'll react, when they'll lose focus. But disciplined individuals move differently. They don't rely on how they feel, so their actions remain consistent even when circumstances change. That consistency makes them hard to compete with. Over time, the gap becomes obvious. The one chasing impulse burns out, loses direction, starts over again and again. The one following discipline keeps building, keeps improving, keeps moving forward without needing to prove anything in the moment. The results may not show immediately, but when they do, they speak for themselves. Discipline also creates a level of independence. You're no longer controlled by urges, distractions, or external pressure. You decide your actions based on purpose, not impulse. That kind of control separates you from the majority. Because most people are constantly reacting to whatever pulls their attention. In a world built on quick reactions and instant rewards, discipline becomes rare, and anything rare becomes powerful. While others are chasing the next easy move, the next quick win, the next moment of satisfaction, discipline keeps you grounded, focused, and moving in a direction that actually leads somewhere. And most people never have the patience to reach that point. Confidence without noise is something people don't recognize immediately because they've been trained to associate confidence with volume. The louder the voice, the stronger the presence. The more someone talks about what they can do, the more believable it seems. That's the illusion most people live in. Noise becomes a mask, and over time, they forget what real confidence actually looks like. Real confidence doesn't introduce itself. It doesn't need validation, approval, or constant attention. It exists whether anyone notices or not. It's built quietly through repetition, failure, discipline, and control. There's no performance attached to it, no need to convince anyone. It's just there, steady and unshaken. People who rely on noise are often trying to fill a gap. They speak more to cover doubt, to project an image they're not fully secure in. They dominate conversations, interrupt, exaggerate, overpromise. It creates a temporary impression, but it doesn't last, because eventually reality catches up. And when it does, the noise fades, leaving nothing solid behind. Confidence without noise moves differently. It listens more than it speaks. It observes more than it reacts. It doesn't rush to prove a point or claim a title. It understands that actions carry more weight than words, and results don't need commentary. There's a calmness in it that most people find hard to understand. Silence plays a role here, but it's not empty. It's intentional. It's controlled. It's the kind of silence that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you're capable of. When you have that level of clarity, there's no need to broadcast it. You don't need to remind people of your worth. You don't need to compete for attention. There's also a certain unpredictability in quiet confidence. People can't easily read you. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're planning, or how you'll respond, and that makes them uncomfortable. They're used to clear signals, obvious reactions, loud declarations. But when those things are missing, they start questioning their assumptions. Noise creates patterns. Loud people often behave in expected ways. They react quickly, speak impulsively, and reveal their intentions without realizing it. But quiet confidence breaks those patterns. It introduces uncertainty, and uncertainty shifts the balance of control. Because when people can't predict you, they can't easily influence you. There's strength in not needing to be seen all the time. In a world that rewards attention, stepping back becomes a form of control. You decide when to show up, when to speak, when to act. You're not driven by the need to be noticed. You're driven by purpose, and that purpose doesn't depend on an audience. Confidence without noise also protects you from unnecessary conflict. You don't feel the need to engage in every challenge, respond to every criticism, or defend yourself against every opinion. You understand that not everything deserves your energy, and that understanding keeps you focused on what actually matters. Over time, this kind of confidence builds a different kind of reputation. People start noticing without being told. They observe consistency, control, and results. They see someone who doesn't get shaken easily, someone who doesn't chase attention, someone who doesn't rely on noise to be relevant. And that creates respect that doesn't fade quickly. The loud ones may dominate the moment, but the quiet ones control the outcome. One is focused on being seen, the other is focused on being effective. And effectiveness doesn't need an announcement. It just shows up when it matters. Calm mind, dangerous presence sounds like a contradiction to most people. They think danger has to be loud, aggressive, obvious. They imagine it in raised voices, sharp movements, unpredictable outbursts. But that kind of danger is easy to spot, easy to prepare for, easy to avoid. The real threat doesn't look like chaos. It looks like control. A calm mind doesn't mean passive. It doesn't mean weak or unaware. It means everything is measured, every thought filtered, every action chosen with precision. While others are reacting to what's happening, a calm mind is already ahead, already understanding the patterns, already seeing what comes next. That awareness creates an edge most people never notice until it's too late. People underestimate calmness because they mistake it for a lack of intensity. They think if someone isn't reacting, they're not affected. If someone isn't speaking, they don't have anything to say. But calmness isn't emptiness. It's containment. It's holding everything inside without letting it spill out unnecessarily. When pressure builds, most people crack. Their thoughts become scattered, their decisions rushed, their emotions unstable. They start making mistakes, saying things they can't take back, acting in ways that expose their weaknesses. Pressure reveals what's underneath, and for most, it's chaos. But a calm mind doesn't break under pressure. It sharpens. It slows everything down. It separates emotion from decision, impulse from action. It allows you to see clearly when everyone else is blinded by intensity. That clarity becomes dangerous because while others are losing control, you're gaining it. There's also a certain presence that comes with this kind of control. It's not loud or attention-seeking. It's subtle, but it shifts the atmosphere. People feel it without understanding it. They sense something different, something they can't easily influence or predict. And that uncertainty creates discomfort. A dangerous presence isn't about intimidation. It's about unpredictability combined with control. It's about not reacting the way people expect, not following the patterns they're used to. When someone can't figure you out, they can't plan around you. They can't manipulate you, can't push you into a corner, can't force you into a reaction. Most people reveal too much without realizing it. Their emotions show on their face. Their intentions slip through their words. Their reactions give away their next move. But a calm mind keeps those things hidden. It reveals only what's necessary, only what serves a purpose. Everything else stays controlled, contained. There's also patience in this kind of presence. No rush to act, no urgency to prove anything. Just observation, understanding, and the right move at the right time. While others are exhausting themselves trying to dominate every moment, a calm mind waits. And waiting, when done right, becomes an advantage. This kind of control takes discipline. It's not something that appears overnight. It's built through experience, through learning when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to hold back. It's understanding that not every moment requires your energy, but the right moment requires all of it. Over time, calmness turns into confidence, and confidence turns into presence. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that commands it without trying. People notice without being told. They observe without understanding. And that observation creates a quiet respect mixed with uncertainty. Because at the end of it all, the most dangerous person in any room isn't the loudest or the most aggressive. It's the one who stays calm while everything else falls apart.